If you ever wanted to visit the Computer Museum of America, go ahead and head on over to Roswell, Georgia to a nearly abandoned strip mall where you're also going to find this Spirit Halloween store. Let's go ahead and follow Tom on inside, take a look at the displays and merchandise this year. It looks like we're doing a carnival theme here. Interesting choice to put Ghostface and some sort of scarecrow at the front. Don't worry, we will take another look at them here in just a moment. Just wanted to give a quick overview of the display. Looks like we've got carnival games, a ticket booth set up on this end with a few animatronics to look forward to. And then on the other side, we have the sideshow. It looks like we're missing a couple of animatronics, including Victor, to go along with Emily here. Let's take a look at her.
This is wrong. I was a bride. My dreams were taken from me. But now I've stolen them from someone else. I love you, Victor. But you are not mine.
No doubt she is beautiful, but really I think they could have made her mouth move. The other missing animatronic here was Bobby Strings. This was the second store we visited with no luck to see him. For only $280, I think there's a lot of movement in this Barnaby the Bear animatronic. You could tell the little kids were overjoyed by the animatronics, having a lot of fun in the Spirit store. Much like this little kid ahead of me, let's go ahead and take a look inside the fun house here. Try not to look in the mirrors. Not bad. I kind of wish there was a little bit more decor going on in there, something more to look at. It could have made a really good mini haunted house. I do like the art around the store though. That looks pretty top notch.
Better be careful walking around at this place. You can get in all kinds of sticky situations here.
This is Cotton Candy Dan. Look at his melted face. It's so grotesque. I love it. $330.
Yum, yum, yum! Sometimes it's sweet, sometimes it's not. One thing I'll tell you though, it'll do more than rot your teeth out.
I must admit, I really do want this Wanda Webworth. That is so monstrous and terrifying. If it doesn't scare the kids, nothing will.
I've been watching you for a while now. I hope you don't mind. I like the way you walk. I can't help but follow you around with my gaze. You have a certain bounce in your step. It's just so enticing. Mind if I follow you around for a bit longer?
It follows you. It cracks you.
Well, you've caught my eye. Don't worry, I'm just admiring your costume. Hey, you over there. Yeah, you. I'm giving out some candy. I thought this would be a great way to make some friends. So come a little closer and try to take some. What do you say? I'm harmless. Mostly.
Nibbles the Clown is certainly the showstopper. I can't wait to see that head tracking movement in other animatronics going forward. It was only $300. This sitting scarecrow is a value animatronic at $100, but I kind of wish he'd have a redesign. Everyone knows what to expect these days.
Step into the shadows with me, mortal, where the boundary between life and death blurs, and the night holds its breath for you.
I really don't get the cremator there. I wish there was some more visual in that red flame effect. Here we have the giant death ray, a bit pricey at $350, but if you bought that Martian warrior that they had last year, that would make a neat little team. It would be nice if they came out with some sort of extraterrestrial animatronic each year so you could build a collection and have a super creepy alien theme. It would be really cool if they had an alien spaceship. I wonder if that's going to be a future theme for Spirit. That would be very interesting, I think. All right, let's make our way over to the front, but what is this? A Wheel of Fate? Let's see if Tom can give it a spin.
Oh no!
Looks like he needs to quit clowning around. Too late. Here he is in the fortune teller booth. I like that little swirling crystal ball effect. That was kind of nice. Note the reflection in the glass there. We're going to have a lot of problems with lighting in this store as we do our store tour. I apologize for that in advance. Let's see how Ghostface feels about that.
Now I see something red.
Looks like he doesn't like it. I honestly think they should have put that toward the back, like he was hiding behind the ticket booth or something. That would have been a neat display.
Strange that you and I have never spoken on the phone. This is long overdue.
I love how Max Straw here has a happy little face on one side, but then it quickly turns scary. I guess if you're not paying attention, you wouldn't have even noticed that guy was floating. All right, it's time to take a look around the store at the general merchandise. No particular order, so it's going to be a lot of random stuff, starting with these light covers. They kind of just look like masks to me. What is that supposed to be? A witch? Like a rotted skull pumpkin face witch? I don't know what it is, but I like it. Here we have some door covers, and this again is where kind of those shiny packages come into play. I apologize, try and keep the glare off it as much as possible. But I do like that they have a lot of different designs. One thing they didn't have though, I was looking all over for a door cover that had Jason from Friday the 13th on it. If you've been following my videos this year, you'll know that I tend to do different displays every year, and I'm kind of working on a Friday the 13th Camp Crystal Lake scene, and I was trying to find the perfect Jason. So not necessarily the perfect Jason, but an affordable Jason. Haven't seen any animatronics of him in the stores this year, so I've been testing some cardboard cutouts. Notice I haven't seen any of those here in the walkthrough. We have been doing store walkthroughs of all the major stores as we lead up toward Halloween, so make sure you're subscribed if you want to check all of these out. We'll take a look at all the merchandise for sale. I've noticed that we do have a lot of horror movie themed merchandise here at the Spirit store. So I'm glad they had the Ghostface animatronic, but otherwise it's pretty light on those. I think we did see Chucky at the Home Depot, but other than that, you're going to have a little bit of a difficulty finding those animatronics this year. Speaking of animatronics, they did have some random animatronics from previous years out and about in the store, so if you're looking for something from last year, you might want to get here early to check that out and see if you can grab one of those for yourself. They do have lots of interesting decoration options, though, throughout the store. I know this is a long video, but it is going to be primarily just reviewing all of this merchandise, but not the costumes. So if you're looking to see what all the costumes they have, you're not going to find it in this video, unfortunately. But let's take a look closer at what they've got here. Again, more door covers and window covers. Love that body bag. The jumping spider is only $49. I feel like that's cheaper than he used to be. I did buy him several years ago. He's a great prop, and I think he's got a good jump scare, but I feel like everybody knows to expect it at this point. You need to find some way to up our game with that. If you need a fog machine, it looks like Spirit Sketch covered. A few different wattages, so if you need a lot of fog, buy that 1000-watt fogger. Here are the animatronics just sort of laid out on the store floor. Let's see, there's Gordo. We saw him last year, and the Night Terror. Your store offerings may be a little different, though. I like that little hanging ghost. The Widow from last year that has that sort of bent neck lady look. And of course, Man's Possessed Friend. Over in the lighting section, we've got a couple of different options to take a look at. Notice, though, how they make that projection effect. The lighting is really close to the wall, and it's got covering to protect it from the lights. I am not a big fan of these lights in any way. I find that if it's not really dark, you can't see it very well at all. And I've had some die on me. I remember the first time I started using the projection effects, I put 4 of them in 4 different corners of a tent, and they were brand new, and 2 of them died before I even had a chance to see them in action. Now that box really intrigues me, the Hauntleys. I don't see that on the Spirit website at all, but if I look it up, I can find it on Amazon.com. It looks like it's an animated 3D head with a projector on the inside that can project a couple of different faces. I don't know if you're able to make your own, but the pre-recorded projections have singing, talking, and joking. I think that's a fantastic idea, and I would love to be able to incorporate that into my displays. Here on the floor, we have the Demonic Gatekeeper and a few ghost faces. So it looks like there's a limited quantity of some of these animatronics, so you're going to want to get there early to get the ones that you want. Maybe Monty from last year. There's Nibbles the Clown, Mr. Punchy. And then we even have Stilts. I bought Stilts myself last year. Loved that. If you have seen my Lowe's walkthrough that I did, just the one right before this video, they had an interesting clown as well. It also had those sort of juggling pins, but he was balancing on them. And upside down, his head spins around and feet kick. That was an amazing animatronic. Spirit has them beat on pricing, though, at $350 for the Stilts clown. Plus, you can use a 20% off coupon. That's actually what I did, saved a little bit of money. Whereas the Lowe's version is just over $425 with no coupons. So I am a little disappointed in Lowe's in their price points. I think they've gotten extremely crazy on the animatronics this year. Home Depot, I think, was a much better value. And then Spirit here is somewhere in between. Again, if you use the coupons, it can be a pretty good value. And I think the Spirit animatronics tend to last a long time. I bought one in 2010 that I still use almost every year, a little groundbreaker fogger. It might have actually just died this last year, but I also bought that Pumpkin Patch Prowler that I put in my scene over the last several years, and he still goes strong. He's a showstopper. He's been out in the rain. Nothing's going to stop that guy, and I love it. All right, so back to the decor. What are we looking at here? We've got some soap dispensers. I really like this one at the bottom that's shaped like a coffin, or maybe it was a boarded up crate. I'm not sure, but I thought it was pretty unique. Mars Attacks is a great movie, and I really liked that Martian warrior that they had last year. He is still available, at least on their website, for about $400, but he's a pretty show-stopping piece as well. Seems like a lot of these shelves are sort of hodgepodgey. You never know what you're going to find. We've got some cups of all sorts. Not really sure what this tin is, but Friday the 13th, finally, some merchandise there. Got it, and oh, it's lunch boxes. Okay, the Golden Girls, because why not? A Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I was really kind of unsure what this is, but after rewatching it here in the video, I finally saw the eyes. That's supposed to be like the head of that character from the Trick or Treat movies. If you like Hocus Pocus, and who doesn't, there's quite a range of merchandise for them. But a lot of it can also be used as sort of just generic witch merchandise. I find that pretty convenient for myself since I'm doing a lot of witches inside my house this year. A lot of that purple and black color scheme. And of course, a lot of this stuff just refers to spells and witches, so it's pretty generic in itself. I like this Days Till I Put a Spell on You with a countdown to Halloween. That's pretty neat. Look how cute this little plush Binks is. You got a snow globe here too that lights up. I guess I'm not sure if it actually lights up, but it swirls. You can almost not see the cat being obliterated by whatever that was swirling in there. You know what I kind of think they're missing in terms of the Hocus Pocus merchandise? I mean, a lot of this stuff focuses, I think, on the first movie for sure. But in the second movie, when you see them in their younger selves, that would be an interesting thing to put in the stores for the kids to decorate and have fun with. Younger versions of the Sanderson sisters. The Witches Across the Moon, that's a pretty good design there. And I like the one on the end that shows the vacuum and the broom. But there should have been a third one, I think, right? All right, moving on. We've got some wreaths and some signage. There's so much signage in the store. Here's some more of it, as a matter of fact. The Sanderson Museum of Witchcraft. That would be kind of a neat prop if you were actually going to do an entire display around the Sanderson sisters. But I think a lot of this merchandise is just for fans to enjoy, not really build a whole display. Here we have a bit of Beetlejuice merchandise. Considering they have the next movie coming out this year, I really thought they would have gone hard on that merchandise this year, but you're not going to see a lot of it. You will see some ghosts here. I think they're actually kind of cute, especially that one with the little bat wings. How adorable is that? So the Hocus Pocus and the Haunted Mansion have signs indicating a whole section for them. I'm surprised there isn't one for Harry Potter. Maybe it's just missing, but I would have expected a bit more merchandise. Perhaps it's just run its course, though. I'm sure there must be a zillion costumes that we are not going to look at today. But I like that they've got the different flags and the floor mats and whatnot. Look, more ghosts and Oogie Boogie. How long do you think it's going to be until they make another Nightmare Before Christmas movie? Especially the way it seems like Disney is hemorrhaging money these days, and they're going to need a big cash cow to bring it back in. But they'd probably just end up releasing it on Disney Plus like the Hocus Pocus sequel and maybe not make all that money. I used to be a pretty big Disney fan. I still follow what's going on in the parks, and it looks like they're finally making a Villains Land. I'm really looking forward to that, but you're going to have to sort of walk by the Haunted Mansion to get there. So I'm not sure if they're going to be actually redoing the entrance to the Haunted Mansion yet again. I really wouldn't mind it, though. I love all this Haunted Mansion merchandise. I absolutely, of course, love the Haunted Mansion ride. Even before I went to the parks for the very first time, I knew all about the Haunted Mansion. It was the one thing that I had to make a beeline for the very first time I went to Disney World. And even though I've ridden that ride at least 100 times, I'm not one of those purists that think it needs to be left alone. I like how they update it every once in a while, adding new characters, bringing back scares, making things more interesting. I'm really surprised we haven't seen any of the Hatbox Ghost merchandise. They've gone pretty all in on those hitchhiking ghosts. They are admittedly lovable, but there's a lot going on in that mansion that we can profit off of. Every year I buy more and more of these fake book box things. It really helps with my decorating. You can use them to raise props, give them a little height, or just leave them sitting around. They look cool on their own. Look at this one with a butterfly on the front. Lots of different versions. This one, The Cabin Killer. It might be a book I'd actually want to read. There's that cute ghost again. Oh, I didn't notice that one with the ram skull when I was walking through. I might have to go back and get that one. I like that. Here's a random Winifred statue, again from Hocus Pocus, just lying around, and more Haunted Mansion merchandise. I love the little portrait there of the creepy ghoul. Looks like you have a couple of different designs, and here again are the hitchhiking ghosts. You can even get a bust of that creepy statue in the library. Love that. A couple of different wreaths to choose from. There was that interesting Frankenstein one. It seemed like a couple of years ago you couldn't find any Frankenstein merchandise, and now he's all over the place, especially with the Home Depot animatronic, the one with all the servo motors that gives so much range of motion to his face, and I guess his body too, right? That looks so creepy and realistic. I cannot wait for Spirit to do something like that, especially with that head tracking technology. I mean, we're talking next level animatronic possibilities. I think they could do a little better on some of these inflatables. I bought a few over the years, including that hearse. It looks really cool, but the box shows it from one angle. The back of the hearse just looks like a big giant black blob. And I have that jack-o'-lantern archway as well. I'm going to be using that in part of my display outside this year. I do a lot of different zones, but part of my display was going to be the pumpkin army. And of course, you're going to have to walk through that archway pumpkin inflatable, which I love, except for the fact that I think it could have a slightly more powerful blower. I think the top of the archway where the giant jack-o'-lantern is sort of tends to droop, which is unfortunate. Looks like we're back in the witches section. I guess everything can be witches depending on how you incorporate it into your display. There's some tarot cards. Now, as I said, I am doing some witches this year. You're probably asking yourself, haven't I said I'm doing a lot of different things this year? And I am. If you just found my channel, welcome. I actually try and change my decor up every year and make it different inside and out. Now, this year on the inside, I am trying to focus mainly on one theme. In the past, I have done different areas of the house and different themes. This year, I'm trying to keep it a bit more cohesive, but there's different types of witches, so it's still going to have a little bit of variety throughout the display. I mean, we're going to have the fortune-telling witch versus like the creepy hag witches. And then this year from Home Depot, I bought that marionette witch, which is going to set the scene in my living room. She has turned herself into a marionette and is trying to find the spell that's going to turn her back, but she's accidentally summoned the spiders. So we're going to have a spider invasion in my living room. Whereas the fortune teller witch is actually going to be in my guest bathroom area, and then the kitchen is going to incorporate my Dean the Deathologist and Marie the Meddling Maid animatronics from Home Depot. It's going to be more of just the witches in the house with their serving staff who are trying to kill them. And then on my back stairway area, which is kind of between where I consider my party zone outside in the garage area, versus my kitchen, you'll pass some ghosts. And then if you venture further to the basement stairs, you're going to see some mummies. So although it's primarily the witches, it's going to have a little bit of variety. Outside, I do multiple different zones as you make your way down the street and then down my driveway. The street area is going to be my Friday the 13th theme, which is why I'm looking for the perfect Jason animatronic or figure of some sort, which we've been experimenting with. Then you're going to pass my pumpkin army. That's going to include that inflatable archway we were just talking about. I also have the 12-foot pumpkin reaper from Home Depot, and this year I just bought that 5-foot tall embers groundbreaker from Party City. I'm really excited to see how that turns out. But once you pass through that archway, you're going to come to my cemetery area, which is going to be mostly Ghostbusters theme this year. I also bought the 12-foot tall ghost from Home Depot that they had in the last year or two. I bought him on Facebook Marketplace, so he's going to set the scene. And then we're going to have a lot of ghost inflatables in that whole area. And once you pass through the cemetery, we're down to the pirate area where we're going to incorporate some of those animatronics from Lowe's this year, including the undersea diver and the Kraken. I think it's going to look fantastic. We're going to set up a fog machine and use some lasers to make a swamp effect. If you haven't seen that Captain Cuts, I believe is called, from Home Depot, you really need to check out that video. It is an amazing animatronic also with those servo motors that gives it so much range of movement. It is fantastic. Unfortunately, I will not be incorporating that in my display this year because most of my pirates are all skeleton pirates, and the Captain Cuts is actually a human-looking figure, which is unfortunate. But the point I was trying to make is we've got a lot of different areas we're trying to create and a lot of different merchandise to look for. So that's why we're doing all of these store walkthroughs as we do every year to see what kind of merchandise is out there that's going to fit those displays. So once again, if you'd like to help support that effort, the best thing you could do, hit that like button. Be sure to leave a comment too. That really helps the algorithm. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd greatly appreciate it. We're trying to make our way up to that 100,000 mark. And if you're tired of hearing my voice, I am not quitting until I get to the 100,000 subscriber mark. And then maybe I might move on from YouTube. Who knows? It looks like I'm going to be here for quite a while though. So stay tuned for all of these store walkthroughs, DIYs, product reviews, and more. But we're not done here with Spirit just yet. I do love those portraits. The artwork, I think, was fantastic. I do like that they have a lot of general merchandise here, but I think in terms of regular Halloween decor, perhaps the home goods of the world, the at-home stores, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Big Lots, I think they've all kind of got Spirit a little bit beat on that end. A lot of this kind of just feels like pop culture merchandise. It's almost more collectibles than stuff you'd really want to use to really decorate or flesh out the theme that you're working on. Obviously here it's evidenced by little plushies and figurines, lots of cups. I do like these books. This Beetlejuice one I haven't seen before. I like that cover. I actually have that Handbook of the Dead one I've been using for a couple of years. Really like that. If you're a little tired of my stream of consciousness babbling for the last 27 or so minutes, I apologize. It's hard to come up with something to talk about for these such long videos. But I did want to mention Beetlejuice. Again, they've got that new movie coming out. I really wanted to see the show on Broadway when they had that not too long ago. I missed out on it.
What do you want? You don't have an appointment, do you? You'll have to wait if you don't have an appointment. Number 54,601, Fun Doc?
That's kind of fun, but where I was going with that is you don't really have a lot of music options available for purchase here at the Spirit store, but I guess that's probably because you can pretty much download all the music that you want, right? But, you know, if you're going to be selling collectibles, why not sell some music too? I'd buy a Beetlejuice CD or some random Halloween music. I mean, they've got lighting effects, some projection effects. I feel like that's another area they could improve. All of our haunts are getting so much more technical these days, and we're trying to all up our games. And I think the future of that is really in technological advancements. And you can't go wrong with projection effects. We've been using the simple, cheap ones for so many years now. I feel like I would be willing to spend a little bit more money to get a really good, high-quality video effect that is going to scare people and look very realistic. Not cheesy, not fake and phony. But we'll get there someday, I'm sure of it. I think that the skeletons here are a little pricey. So we've got a skeleton stack there. But look at this. So what does that say? That is $63 for a posable skeleton? Absolutely not. The other stores have gone in a different direction. You've got the skeletons at a much lower price point. We're talking, $30 for a regular 5-foot posable skeleton, a little bit more for some of the nicer versions, including the corpse skeletons. I mean, Home Depot has such a wide variety of options these days. Lowe's has the one that's a bit oversized. You can get like a 7-foot tall one. There's just so many more options. I cannot believe somebody would pay as much as Spirit wants for a standard posable skeleton. Does anybody else have problems with those step hair pads? I feel like I bought so many of them in the past, always trying to add them to my animatronics, and I think more often than not they just don't work. It's disappointing. I love the sound of the electrical wires there. Not really sure what was going on with the top of it. I mean, I have one of those myself. It looks like it was part of an electrical box prop, but that one, I'm not really sure what it was supposed to be, attached to there. We've got a lot of different gravestones to choose from, and then some cemetery fencing. These days, it's not too hard to build your own. I feel like the cemetery fencing is another one of those things I bought when I wasn't into DIY crafting, that sort of thing as much. But it is so easy to make them out of, wood and PVC, and they look so much better and not kind of undersized as those are. But if that's your only option, go for it. I do love the selection of t-shirts. I did, in fact, buy the one, Get in Losers, We're Going Slashing. I love that. We do have an array of killer critters. I think Spirit has got the other stores beat in this realm. Look at this bloody pigeon. I think that's a pigeon. Creepy. And then we've got not only mice, but was that a squirrel? And there's a bunny, a killer bunny. I think my favorite things in the store, though, are these tiny terrors. Look how cute and innocent, like little babies, these killers are. You've got a little ghost face holding his bloody knife. And then, of course, Pennywise with his little paper boat. Very adorable. All right, we've got some spiders and creepy crawly things, the standard Halloween fare. I bought so many spiders for my spider invasion this year. You can get those pretty cheap at a lot of other places, especially like the Dollar Tree. They're not going to be as big or as furry as those, but if you want the little ones that are just going to be, everywhere, it's certainly a good place to start. Body parts are a good way to flesh out your scenes. I actually, when I'm making like a corpse, and I just sometimes I have like a corpse with a sheet over it sitting in a corner, and I will just use those little body parts sticking out from under the sheet just enough to give the illusion that there is in fact a body under there. It's very effective. We've got some hanging decor options here for you to choose from. Look, the lights actually work on this one, and they change and blink. Lots of different colors there. And then some more skeletons, a little bit less than life size. Never my favorite props. The skeleton with the green hair looks very evil. It's a shame that a lot of the try me buttons wouldn't work. I'm kind of curious to see what he does, but I'm sure his eyes light up and maybe he shakes around. Probably has a very loud laugh too that you'll get tired of in a few moments. I love that skeleton wind chime. It's a little hard to see there in the corner, sorry. It's a little hard to film some of these things on the bottom shelves.
Ever leave me alone? I'll get very upset. You don't want to see me upset.
Can't go wrong with a creepy doll. Perfect gift for the child in your life. Looks like they've got a nice selection too. Look at that, the butcher as a little doll and that evil little monkey. Wow, you're going to really give your kids nightmares. So better yet, give these to your nieces and nephews, and then it becomes your siblings' problem. Is that supposed to be a Medusa? It looks like it's got tentacles. I guess tentacles, not snakes, coming out of the head of that skull, but I love the look of that. Haven't seen that before. And is this like a skeleton wreath with little skeleton hands? That's different too. I like that they're thinking a little bit out of the box because I'm getting a little tired of all of the skeleton animals everywhere. There's another alien to add to our collection. Of course, you can't go wrong with the scary anglerfish. I actually bought that ram's head for my witch display a couple of years ago. He's very plasticky, unfortunately. And when you look at all of these and think about it, they all are a little similar and plasticky and not very realistic. I think you're definitely going to want to paint them to give it a little aging effect. Another fan favorite, of course, here are the zombie babies. Not quite as cute as our tiny terror serial killers, but definitely good for a good scare. They are very creepy looking in general. I actually used to buy these to give away as prizes for my Halloween party costume contests. Got a little pricey, but I think people loved those because they're just fun. They do have a big selection of throw blankets. We're not going to look at them all individually, or it would take an hour or more. And I think we are all waiting for me to just stop talking. So a little bit of merchandise to wrap up the store tour here. We've got a couple of tumblers, and then I really like their selection of entry mats. Since I do a different display every year, I'm always trying to find one that's going to coordinate with it. This looks like it's been picked over quite a bit. That Ouija one was kind of nice, but they do have a lot of different ones to choose from. My favorite being the one at the bottom here, which we're about to see. It's Pennywise looking up from a grate. That is so scary. As is the checkout line, full of all of this crazy merchandise, keychains, tchotchkes, little plushes, anything you want. Before we go, I want to say a special thank you to the patrons who help support the channel. If you're interested in joining our Fright Club, check out a link to my Patreon page in the description below. Of course, before we leave, I have to take a chance with my luck at the Wheel of Fortune. And what is it going to land on? Whatever that is. Thanks for watching, everyone. Till next time, take care and happy haunting.